Delighted to have in the studio with us today a gentleman who is a missionary with Youth for Christ. Tim Hardy is with us, and we're going to be talking about his mission to Cyprus. And Tim, and it's more than just a trip. You're going over there for a while.
Yeah, we're there for a minimum of 3 to 5 years, so we're going out long term.
Why Cyprus?
This is where we really felt God calling us. My wife is actually from Bolivia, and I was working as a missionary with Young Life in Bolivia in the past. And we after that, we ended up going to Azores, Portugal, working with missions there with a local church, and came here just trying to get a passport for my wife, a U.S. passport. We had a lot of problems overseas with being on 2 different passports, but after settling into lives here, we just felt God calling us to the mission field again, and we had the opportunity to go to Bolivia, but it just turned out that the Lord, who sees the bigger picture than we do, really directed us towards Cyprus rather than Bolivia. Humanly speaking, it just seemed like it would make so much sense to go to Bolivia for us.
Yeah.
But we've seen over and over in our lives that God sees the big picture when we only see a little speck.
Right.
And He directed us towards Cyprus.
So you'll be there for 3 to 5 years. Now, you are with Youth for Christ, so you'll be working with young people there?
Correct.
So how does that work? What are you going to be doing there?
So one of the big needs in Cyprus is that out of 1 million people that live in Cyprus, there's only about 100 teenagers that go to any church at all.
Really?
It's about 1% of 1% of the population. It's
Wow.
just such a small amount of people there that go to any church of these teens that it's really an unreached people group. And so, but yet it's an open and free country where we can minister to teens there. And so we'll be going there, reaching these teens, and also working with the international community. One of the most interesting parts of our ministry is this international nature of it. There's about 9 international schools that we've found so far in Cyprus. That's a lot. By comparison, I was working with international schools in Cochabamba, Bolivia. There's about 2 international schools out of a city of 1 million there.
Wow.
9's a lot, and what makes those so strategic for missions is that the teens that go to these schools, one school might only have about 300 students, but out of those 300 students, there might be about 30 different nationalities represented in just one school.
Wow.
So when we reach these teens in an open and free country, what often happens is when they graduate from high school, they go back to their home countries. So we're reaching them in an open, free country. They go back to their home countries after graduation, and they oftentimes gravitate towards certain jobs in their lives. They oftentimes become ambassadors, diplomats, world businessmen, and politicians because of the international nature of the schools and a lot of times who their parents are. So in effect, by reaching these teens, we are reaching teens.
You're reaching the future, too.
We're reaching future generations and people that can actually make long-lasting changes in their different countries.
Where did your passion for young people come from?
Really, since I was a teenager, I've had this passion.
We all went through that.
Yeah, I am. But I've always worked with teens and just have always seen that it's such a strategic ministry working with these teenagers because what happens is that at that stage in their lives, they are making long-lasting decisions. You know, up to that point, a lot of times it's whatever your parents believe. As a child, that's what often you will believe. But when you become a teenager, suddenly you know, just in the learning development, that's suddenly becomes, you know, well, I could believe whatever I wanted to believe. And so they're making choices on their own for the first time. And if somebody comes along at that point in their life and guides them and directs them toward Christ, we've seen that it is the best time to reach people. And so we are just passionate about reaching these teens all over the world with Youth for Christ.
That's wonderful. Now, I understand people can partner with you on this trip.
Absolutely.
How do they, if somebody wants to go work with you for a while, how does that work?
Yeah, we have a website. It's a really long address, but the best way to be able to partner with us is to just email me or to give me a call. Our email address is tim.liz.hardy@gmail.com.
Okay, and we'll have that here for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, how do they? What's involved?
The process is basically they go to Youth for Christ, and if they're interested in partnering with us, they would make an online donation, or they can do it by form if they want to. But it goes through Youth for Christ, so it's all tax deductible. And then Youth for Christ provides us the salary and everything that we need to operate in Cyprus.
Can somebody go over there and visit you and help you?
Absolutely. One of the neat things about ministry there in Cyprus is that it is, with international schools ministries especially, it's working with English-speaking kids. The teens speak English at these schools. And so we're able to take teens from different churches and adults from different churches to go over there to help us do some of these big events that we just would not be able to do on our own. One of the scary things about it in Cyprus is that there's just nobody doing youth ministry there right now. There's one volunteer working with Youth for Christ, and Youth for Christ is the only mission organization focused on Cyprus right now. So
really? That's a lonely job.
That is, one volunteer working with 1 million people, basically. Youth for Christ is sending a national director and his wife and family in March. And then they're hoping to send us out on the mission field to Cyprus this summer. We have to get to 100% finance before we are able to go, but it's a big change for us too. My wife's due with a baby May 1st. Oh boy! So we'll be having a baby and then heading out there, Lord willing.
Okay. So. Do you have a plan for taking the city?
Absolutely. We with Youth for Christ, we know. Things that work. Youth for Christ has been around since 1944, I believe. They found about 5 major things that work. First of all is prayer. We ask people to be praying for us in our ministry as we go out there. We know that the Lord works through that. We also know that the Lord works through with Youth for Christ, we build personal relationships with those teens. We go out where they are, and we share Christ with them in a personal way they can understand. We also do it through leadership. We know that one of the big things that me and my wife and the national director will be working on is that we know that one volunteer reaching 1 million people is just not real effective. So we are trying to raise up leadership in Cyprus who will train other leaders. We know that any ministry done by the locals is a more effective ministry than us Americans trying to run the show there. So we're trying to train them to do youth ministry. There's just nobody that's doing ministry there right now with teens. And so we're training them up and then trying to work ourselves out of a job in effect.
Well, this is remarkable. Again, let me just say, if you want to get more information, you can email tim.liz.hardy@gmail.com. They have a nice brochure they put out. They can get a copy of that and maybe what's involved to be a part of their program as they go over there. Cyprus is a big place, and well, I mean, it's an island, but a big job, let me put it that way. And I think I had no idea those numbers. I had no idea that you only have one person on the ground there, and you now will go over there and put together some teams and work and go for it. Special events, I would assume?
Absolutely.
Part of that?
Yeah.
All right. Tim, thank you, and blessings to you. Your home church is First Baptist here, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm sure they're behind you, and again, you may want to check it out, and if you want to support them, or go with them. Give them a call or email them, tim.liz.hardy@gmail.com. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll be right back.